Hello and welcome to today's episode of On the Line with ZYouth. My name is Derek Crawford and I'm the youth pastor at Zion Lutheran Church in Clear Lake, Iowa. Let me give you a quick rundown to those who are new to this space. Over the next few minutes, we are going to explore some areas and topics of Christianity, then break them down a little bit and hopefully apply them back to our daily lives. Let's check it out. So today we're going to start a 5-week series that kind of goes through and explores the book of Matthew, specifically focusing on the kingdom of heaven. And so today, to kind of show that, or to give you an example of that, I want to introduce you to a little game from my childhood called Uno. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. So how many of you have heard of this game? Well, if you haven't, we're going to kind of explain it to you a little bit because it's a good way to illustrate my point. And so here we go. I spent a lot of hours playing this game, and I love the original game, but there's a new game that I'd like to kind of talk to you about, and that game is called Uno Flip. Well, this game is very similar to the original game, but basically it's all the same rules, but there's one major difference. There's a whole set of cards on the back side of the original cards. And then as the game is going along, as you're playing the game, you can play a flip card, which causes everyone to flip the deck over. And so you're playing this way, someone plays that card, you flip it over, and then you have to play from the back side. And this back side has a different set of rules that are a little bit harder. The game is played exactly the same. It's the same concept, the same rules, but it's played a little bit differently. The rules are more intense, they're a little bit different, and it's a little bit harder to play. And so many of you are probably wondering where I'm going with this. And no, I'm not a spokesman for Mattel. I don't get any royalties for product placement, unless you're listening, and then I would gladly give you my contact information. You can send me a check. But no, I just think this is a good way of kind of discussing the kingdom of heaven. And so when you look at Matthew, as we start to explore Matthew, Jesus begins to outline and describe what the kingdom of heaven looks like here on earth. And to me, it's super fascinating because it goes against, everything he does kind of goes against the teachings and the norms of that time. And this card game gives a good model of which to view this concept. We are used to the old game of Uno and all the rules associated with it. So it kind of feels odd when that gets flipped upside down, when those rules start to change. And even though the old game is still there and it's still present, it's hard to kind of shift to that new way of playing. And I think the Israelites kind of did the same thing. They thought they understood what it meant to follow the law and to follow God. But Jesus came and kind of showed them that there was a new way to do it, that there was a new way of living it out. He didn't come to tell them everything that they were doing was wrong, but he kind of changed the rules a little bit, or at least the rules that they were used to or that they expected. But he came to show them a better way to play. And so that's where we're going to stop today to keep this short. And next week, we're going to kind of dive into our Bibles a little bit deeper, and we're going to explore Matthew's chapters 5 through 7. So if you want to read ahead and kind of follow along as we go, between videos, go ahead and read those chapters. And so here are some reflection questions that might help you kind of process what we talked about today. The first question is, what was your favorite game as a kid? Mine was spoons, and it still is, and I'm a rock star at it, and if anyone wants to battle me, I'd be more than happy to beat you. That probably goes against what we're talking about today, but it is true. Anyway, the second question is there any part of this topic, this idea of the kingdom of heaven, that you find confusing, or maybe interesting, or that you'd want to know a little bit more about? And the final question is, how would you take it if someone came along and changed the rules of the game that you were playing? How would that feel? How would that make you feel? How would that make you act? I want you to think about that a little bit. That about wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for checking us out. Remember that it takes a lot to put everything on the line for Jesus, but I promise you it's worth it. Until next time, blessings to you.